we co-suffer, we co-awaken, and we co-serve. That is, we cannot do it without one another. Okay, so people in caves, at some point, they will need to leave the cave and teach, right? So when
Maybe.
maybe,
Yes.
maybe.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what do you get awakened for?
Mhm.
And even if it's not for people, we
Mm,
still need someone to
mm,
feed us. We
mm,
still need something, right? We
mm,
still need
mm,
air. We
mhm,
need existence. So for us to exist, I think we are dependent, right?
mm.
It's interbeing, is interdependence.
Friends, welcome to episode 27 of Vibe with Venerables. 1 hour of Dharma and dialogue where you get to talk directly to a respected Venerable. I'm Ming, co-founder of Buddhism-dot.net and your host. Today begins our 10-session series with our awesome new friend, Venerable Dr. Juewei. Venerable Juewei is a director of the Nan Tien Institute's Humanistic Buddhism Center. And she's also the head of program for the Institute's Applied Buddhist Studies and the Humanistic Buddhism program. She has a PhD in religious studies. Oh, and I also have echo. She also held many international academic positions, including the editorial board of the Studies of the Humanistic Buddhism Journal. And being ultra cool, she also has an MBA and a master's in computer science and computer engineering. And she was an AI researcher in the 1990s, way before AI was cool, right? So she is that awesome. So happy to have her. So today we begin our 10-week exploration of the Sutra of the 8 realizations of the great beings and its relevance in the modern world, with its many crises, right? I mean, crisis is a plural of crisis. And yes, when you have to find out what's the plural of crisis, things are bad. You have a problem. So, over the next 10 weeks, Venerable Juewei will help us navigate challenges such as AI, climate change, social unrest, and everything else with the wisdom offered by this sutra. So each week, Venerable will be here speaking for roughly 30-40 minutes and then answer your questions live. So as a reminder, this session will be recorded and then uploaded on the YouTube. And if you're comfortable doing so, we'd like to invite you to turn on your camera so that Venerable can see your lovely faces on the screen in front of her. And with that, my dear Venerable friend, I hand this over to you.
Thank you so much, Meng, for the introduction and for inviting me to this Vibe with Venerable series. And Happy New Year to you and everyone online.
Oh.
To begin, may I please start with a beautiful Australian traditional custom and acknowledgement of country. So in the spirit of reconciliation, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which I work, study, and reside, the Wodi Wodi people of the Dharawal Nation, and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I also pay my respects to and express my deep gratitude to the traditional custodians of the various lands on which you all are. We hope that they continue to bless us with the wisdom to care for our lands so that we may enjoy the fruits that these lands can bear. I say this with a tinge of sadness, as both the states of Victoria and New South Wales here in Australia have to contend with record high temperatures at this time of the year. Also, working in an institute of higher education based on Buddhist values and wisdom, I would also like to recognize the triple gem of the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. Together, they make up the lineage, philosophy, and community of Buddhism that I embrace to deepen my reflection and academic pursuits. Now, I would like to honor the custom of this Vibe with Venerable series with a mindful check-in. which happens to also be a regular practice in the Nan Tien Institute where I teach. So please allow me to share screen. So you will see now an image of 8 stones stacked on top of one another. Now please take a moment to allow this image to make an impression on your consciousness. When you're ready, you may close your eyes if you're in a safe space. I'd like to take you first through a body scan to relax the body. So, with closed eyes, let's relax our forehead. Relax our eyes, facial muscles. Relax our jaws. Relax our neck. Next, relax our shoulders. Relax our upper arms, lower arms, and our hands. Relax. Let's relax our back. Relax our torso, trying to keep a straight back and a soft front. Relax. Relax our thigh muscles, calf muscles, feet, and relax our toes. Allow our entire body to relax. Now gently bring your attention to the tip of your nose. And without any judgment, without any control, let's observe our breath. Every in-breath and out-breath for the next few moments. As we feel ourselves settling into the present, into the gift of the moment, try to recall the image of the stacked stones. Do you recall how the stones were stacked? Do you recall the color of each stone? The texture, the water in the background, the sky, or anything else in the background? There is no need to struggle. Simply allow the image to return to you in whatever way it likes, no matter how faint or how deep. We will have an opportunity to meditate on this image over the next 9 weeks. Perhaps the image will return to you in greater clarity by the last session, or maybe not. When you're ready, please feel free to open your eyes and look at that image again. Perhaps if you wish, you can compare what you have recalled in your memory to what you see on screen. I'm going to stop the share at this point. It was pure coincidence that I managed to find this image of the 8 stacked stones, an opportunity for me to talk about this particular sutra on the 8 awakenings of great beings. And I thought that perhaps over these 10 sessions that we have together, to be able to have an opportunity to keep reflecting on this image. So my dear friends, welcome to this new year. 2026 is now officially upon us. If you're willing, may I invite you to put into the chat stream where you're located now and how you have felt about these past few days, the past 10 days of this new year. I guess that will help Meng and I to be able to get a rough sense of who is in this space together with us. So please feel free to use the chat stream to type a few words about where you are based, where you are located, and if you can, maybe how you feel about the start of this 2026 journey. So we have friends from California, from Singapore, from Gold Coast, from Melbourne, from Manila, from Cebu, from Malaysia, San Francisco, from Florida, from Canada, Shah Alam from Malaysia, from Western Australia, Chihuahua. Amazing. What a great group. San Diego, Brisbane, Sydney.
Sri Lanka.
Sri Lanka, thank you. Wow. This is really good because what we are seeking is really a global community. Some of you, it's morning, early morning for some, late morning for others, evening, late afternoons for some of you as well. Thank you. I can see that some of you have spent the past few days, the beginning of the year, feeling uncertain, feeling very clear in their head, feeling a little sadness, feeling troubled and centered also. Wow, wonderful. And falling in love with the new year already. Wonderful. Busyness already. Yes, yes. Curious and worried. Calm. Wonderful. Feeling hopeful. Gratitude. Yay. Thank you so much for sharing. So please keep the chat stream going maybe for another minute or two. If you can, I'm just requesting for those of you who just joined to post in the chat where you're from, as well as how you're feeling about the first few days of the year. I think Angela can keep it open for the next 2 to 3 minutes for you to continue posting. And when she sees that the chat's wound down, she will stop the posting option. So when I was first approached by the Venerables, by Angela and Ming, the Sutra on the 8 realizations of great beings kept coming to me. So over the past few weeks, I realized why. So I've just returned from 3 weeks in Asia. Last week, I was in the Philippines. At one of the panel sessions, I told the audience of over 80 people that my definition of humanistic Buddhism, which is the kind of Buddhism that I practice. So I told that audience that day that my definition on that day was, together we suffer, together we awaken, together we serve. For those of you who do not know, I ordained under Venerable Master Xing Yun, the founder of Fo Guangshan, an international monastic order based in Taiwan. Venerable Master Xing Yun promotes this form of Buddhism that he calls humanistic Buddhism. Over the years, I've appreciated this form of Buddhism in different ways, and most recently, I would say the togetherness strikes me as a key feature that derives from Mahayana Buddhism. It is not about solitary meditation, but rather the recognition of interdependence and strength in the unity of purpose. And it is this togetherness that we will continue to explore over these 10 weeks. Now, a week ago, I did not know why, but I came up with this sequence of together we suffer, together we awaken, and together we serve. And I think to me, it reflected the Bodhisattva career path. So being a form of Mahayana Buddhism, humanistic Buddhism focuses on the Bodhisattva ideal. A Bodhisattva is one who has resolved to be awakened for the benefit of all beings. And hence, the awaken and serve were important components of my definition of humanistic Buddhism. And the first noble truth reminds us that we all suffer. And recently, I've been contemplating this fact that we co-suffer, we co-awaken, and we co-serve. That is, we cannot do it without one another. We do not suffer alone. And likewise, we cannot awaken alone. My awakening is going to depend on your awakening and vice versa. And we can say the same thing about service to all beings. So let me give you a concrete example. I suffered over the past few days and weeks thinking about what to say today. But I was not alone. I'm sure that Angela and Ming were the same, probably worried about what and how I would start the year with their community, and will I disappoint since I'm new to this community, or will I forget to show up since I've not replied to their emails over the last 2 days? Will I surprise or shock the audience? Did they make the right choice to invite me? So we co-suffer in terms of anxiety and workload, trying to put this session together. Hopefully, over these 10 weeks, as we learn more and more about this sutra I'm going to talk about, we can co-awaken. And I really can't do this without your feedback and engagement. So yes, you will be invited to participate through chats and conversations during the course of these 10 weeks. And finally, I hope that we will serve together with our presence, with our feedback and comments, and later out to the whole wide world. So let's take a closer look at this sutra on the 8 realizations of great beings. As this particular sutra, you realize 8 realizations, sometimes it's also translated to as the 8 awakenings. So many people have asked me about Buddhism and say, it's about the awakened one. So what did the awakened one, which is the Buddha, awaken to? So this is the reason why I feel that this sutra is one of the first sutras I like to share with you, because it's really about what we should realize. However, it is in a certain context. So I'm going to share with you the interpretation of my teacher, the late Venerable Master Xing Yun. To him, this particular sutra on the 8 realizations of great beings is a sacred text of humanistic Buddhism. In Chinese, the sutra is not long. It only contains 372 characters. However, its revelations about human life are very profound. and one of which is that everything has causes and conditions. So in line with this causes and conditions, you would probably want to know, why did the Buddha teach this particular sutra? And there's a story behind it. So one day the Buddha was residing at the Jetavana monastery, and his very dedicated disciple, Venerable Ananda, asked the Buddha, Buddha, in the harmonious Sangha community, practicing the 6 kinds of reverent harmony, forgetting selfishness and ego, this is what we should accomplish. We should show absolute compassion and kindness towards sentient beings. This too we understand. However, Buddha, there are many lay disciples studying the way, which is the path to Buddhahood, and many ordained disciples who engage with society for propagating the Dharma and benefiting beings. Regarding how they should seek awakening and enter nirvana, we earnestly request the Buddha's guidance and instruction. And the Buddha smiled compassionately and joyfully replied, Ananda, what you say is truthful. What you ask concerns the practice of great beings. There are bodhisattvas. So I will teach you the 8 realizations of great beings, which may be recited day and night with sincere hearts. So my friends, that is the background for the Buddha's teaching of this sutra. He taught it for the Buddha's lay disciples, as well as ordained disciples who engage with society for propagating the Dharma and benefiting beings. So very often, this sutra is considered the best treasure for establishing humanistic Buddhism and studying Buddhism for the laity. Buddhism also engages in worldly affairs and also in world-transcending approaches. And that is the spirit of worldly engagement for Buddhists. Buddhism distinguishes that there is present life practice and future birth practice. So for this particular sutra, it's more on present life practice. And Master Taishi, very often known as the father of humanistic Buddhism in the early modern days, he says, looking up to the Buddha alone for completion lies in one's human character. When humans are perfected, Buddhahood is achieved. This is the true reality. So therefore, what humanistic Buddhism is about is to say that we have to appreciate that by being human and by practicing to be a better and better human every day, we will approach Buddhahood. So my friends, let's first understand the term in the title of the sutra about great beings. So great beings is not about a great person versus a small person, or a high official versus a lowly commoner. Instead, this great being refers to a term called bodhisattva. And sometimes it's also an abbreviation for what we call bodhisattva mahasattva, the awakened being or the great-hearted being. So when we mention bodhisattvas, some people may think of the Avalokiteshvara or Guan Yin Bodhisattva or Siddhigarbha or the Earth Store Bodhisattva who are enshrined in temple main halls. Of course, they are our big Bodhisattva Mahasattvas. However, in this particular sutra, the Bodhisattva great beings refer to those who have generated the mind to want to study the way. That means you and me. But you may ask, how can humans be called Bodhisattvas? Aren't they just ordinary beings? Well, Bodhisattvas are not just residing in paintings or they are just statues in temple halls. Actually, According to my teacher, Bodhisattvas symbolize vibrant human life who have infinite passion and immeasurable compassionate vows, who are capable of benefiting both themselves and others. These are living bodhisattvas in the human world. So as long as there's a person in the world who has generated this bodhisattva mind, who wants to seek Buddhahood and who wants to serve sentient beings, then these are human bodhisattvas. And these bodhisattvas are here to help us all, help one another. And that's why this co-awakening and co-service, that we can do this together, especially in this world, when we feel so helpless against all these systemic troubles that are around us. All the more we have to come together to bond, and also together in our community, we'll be able to find ways out of these systemic entanglements that we all are. So it's a sutra, and it's a sutra of the 8 realizations, which means 8 methods for cultivating Buddhahood. And it's called a sutra. It's called a sutra. What does sutra mean? So sutra means it is a thread in Sanskrit, a thread. And this thread is like a path. So a path that can help us to reach the realm that can help us to escape the bondage of birth and death, and thereby attaining ease and comfort and bliss and happiness. So any principle that can be called a sutra usually has to deal with something we call truths. And these truths in this particular sutra is about the 8 realizations. So awakening, realizations, what are they? So the 8 great realizations are divided into 3 major parts. The first part is about having a right view, a worldview. And that particular worldview, the first one is about this material world that we are in. So the material world that we are in, we have to recognize that nations and lands are fragile. I mean, I can feel it very much as a result of the extreme 40-degree heat that we are in. Yesterday, it wasn't so hot, and tomorrow it's supposed to go down to the 20s. Very fragile land. And that the sentient world that we are in is also impermanent. There's nobody who can live forever. The aggregate world of the 4 great elements, they're all composed of suffering and emptiness. And we'll talk a little bit of emptiness along the way as to what it really means. That's what we call the worldview, the physical worldview. Another right view, another series of right views among the awakenings is what we call the life view. Okay, life view. So in terms of life, the second awakening is that excessive desire is the root of birth and death. Excessive desire is the root of this cycle, endless cycle of birth and death that we call samsara. The third life view is that contentment is the root of maintaining that path, the way to Buddhahood, being contented. The fourth life view is diligence, is the root of subduing our bad habits, right effort, basically. And the fifth life view is that wisdom is the root of transforming ignorance, wisdom, which is what we are trying to learn together. And the sixth life view is that giving is the root of liberating others. Giving, generosity. And the seventh awakening is that restraint is the root of moderating our desires, especially our strong desires in this very hyper-vigilant world. So here are the first 7 realizations, and the 8th realization, which concludes this particular sutra, is that the great vehicle mind, or the Mahayana mind, is the root of universal liberation, or liberation for all, not just for the self, but for all sentient beings. So these are, in short, the 8 awakenings that we will delve into one by one over the following 8 sessions. The sutra itself states, and I quote from the sutra, "If disciples of the Buddha recite these 8 realizations in every thought, they can eliminate boundless wrongdoings, progress towards Bodhi, and quickly attain right enlightenment, forever cutting off birth and death, and always be happy." So this particular sutra is very appealing to me because it's really a story of hope. It says that we need to both understand the errors of our way of seeing. So that's why it starts with this right view, how we should see the material world, how we should see our life and practice, and then instigate the practice to correct any errors in our past actions, speech, and thoughts. So it is this realization, right? Is this knowing that will lead to practice. And it's this practice that will lead to our awakening. So the sutra has, I think, a much deeper or more profound transformation. And assisting others becomes our primary concern. And that's why I think of together. Together, we suffer in these wrong views and a systemic world that keeps getting us back into this samsaric wrong views. But together, we awaken, because by coming to this session together, we give an opportunity for ourselves to explore the possibilities of awakening and sharing our journey. And then together we serve, or together we practice. So this is the sutra of the 8 realizations of great beings. They are like the 8 principles that the Buddha taught to enable sentient beings to awaken. And that's why it's called a sutra. It has as its basis the Bodhisattva ideal, and that is it's the belief that the Buddha descended into this world for one great causal condition: to enable sentient beings to enter this Buddha knowledge and open that path of awakening for sentient beings, with awakening being the opposite of delusion. So we are constantly asleep in delusion, and we're now trying to wake up. So sentient beings, we tend to drift through birth and death. No, we being you and me. I'm no different from you. I'm just like you. I go through my confusion. I go through my delusion, and I also go through the 6 realms. And in a way, in many ways, actually, I'm very deluded. However, I would know that samsara is suffering, and this birth, death, samsara cycle is very fearsome. And therefore, I know that I need to practice. I know that I depend on these 8 methods to begin my awakening journey. So I really look forward to sharing this sutra with you. It's not because I know a lot about it. It's because I'm using this opportunity to co-awaken with you. And I hope that this journey together on this big boat, the Mahayana boat, will serve both you and me. So on this note, I'd like to use this period for maybe some questions and answers, any thoughts and insights that you may have.
Thank you. Venerable, shall I invite the audience to get a minute to absorb your teachings? Okay.
Certainly.
Okay, so for those of you who are willing to, let's take a minute to just sit quietly and breathe and reflect on what Venerable just taught us and how it affects our lives. And thank you. With that, we can begin our discussion. For those of you who have a question for Venerable, or if you want to share a reflection, please feel free to use the hand raising function on Zoom, and then I will ask you to unmute yourself. So while we're waiting, Venerable, I have a question. There's something you said earlier that really resonated with me, but even more than like usual, which is that you equated the practice with human flourishing, like flourishing like individually and together. And that could surprise a lot of people because I think that there's this impression that people have that to practice means to like not have good food and not have anything fun, right? And then you just hide in your cave and suffer all day. But so what you're saying is the reverse. It's a flourishing. And I've known you enough to know. I mean, for those of you, my friends who've seen Venerable today, this is how she always is. She's always happy, like that. She's always generous. She's always humble. Like she's like flourishing. So my question for you, dear Venerable, is if you don't mind, can I ask you to talk about your own personal experience of how you flourish through this teaching?
Oh man. You know that your question is now forcing me to share a little secret. The
I
first
know,
thing that
right? That's
came
the
to
whole
my
point.
mind, the first thing that came to my mind when you asked the
Yeah,
question and you talk about flourishing and
yeah,
how people think that you have to give up your favorite food, you got to
yeah,
eat only vegetables.
that's right.
One of the reasons I decide to ordain
Mm-hmm.
is because of the good food. This is like a secret, isn't it? Okay, this is what happened. I cannot cook, right? But for the life of me, I'm not a good cook and I don't like to cook. Now, how else am I going to enjoy all these lovely vegetarian meals that Fo Guangshan offers to the world?
Mm-hmm.
Well, one way to ensure I get fed 3 times a day with nutritious and tasty vegetarian meals, join the order.
It's so
So, human flourishing, right? If you don't have good food, how do you flourish? So, that's the beginning.
So
I
come
need
for the
that.
food, stay for the nirvana.
Yes, that's right. And then, second is that I'm now surrounded by Dharma. I get Dharma friends. I
Mm-hmm.
get opportunity to share the Dharma. For
Mm-hmm.
example, if
Mm-hmm.
I don't have this session today, if I'm with
Mm-hmm.
Venerables, I'll be checking the various apps now and saying, what's the fire situation like? Because I'm going to fly to Melbourne tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to be safe? And then
Mm-hmm.
what will happen is I'll be very anxious, isn't
Mm-hmm.
it? I mean, these
Yeah.
apps are great. They give you timely information, but have you not realized that it has also caused a lot of anxiety?
Mm-hmm.
It has caused so much. I guess if you don't know, you're actually in a better state. You go, you face the problem, and you solve the problem. But now, no, you know so much information. You have to act on the information, and we become incredibly busy.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel that what Buddhism has
Mm-hmm.
helped me to do is to anchor myself. Look at that, for example, the 8 stacked stones. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that image is just beautiful. Look at how smooth it is. But do you know how that stone got so smooth? Because water is probably this river that's in. The
Mm-hmm.
river has been brushing it and smoothing it over
Mm-hmm.
probably decades and centuries.
Right.
So the same with us. We will need the Dharma water to
Yes.
flow through us in order to polish us until we become that beautiful stone for people, other people can admire.
Yes, for those who were thinking, I just take a long bath. No, it doesn't work that way.
A long bath, you have to shower very hard.
Right, yes, for thousands of years.
Scrub,
No, that doesn't work
I
that way.
know, and you keep scrubbing with the ambrosia.
Mm.
Ah, yes.
Mm.
I can see Ming now disappearing in the bathroom and scrubbing very hard.
That's right. We have a question from Jiwon. Jiwon, please unmute yourself.
Hello, Venerable. Um, I'm just, I just want to express that by hearing what you said, that my awakening depends on you and other beings. That just warms up my heart so much, and it's very inspiring. Because sometimes I find, wow, I have like this and this and this and this and this on my to-do list because of this person, another person, another person, another person. And then I think, wow, I have no time left for my practice. So like, of course, this is just my failing in time management. But so sometimes I want to escape from people. Like I want to cut from them to secure my own time for my practice. And I feel like I'm just wasting my time by having a conversation with my friends on worldly things that doesn't save us forever. So then my heart becomes very cold. And then I am criticizing myself, like, oh, you again, um, like wasted your time. And but hearing what you said just makes me notice that yes, there's something wrong in this thought. I mean, um, I still uh, am not clear enough to describe it, but um, by hearing what you said, it makes me think like, actually, if I get enlightened in this life or in next life, then actually, all the people um, who made the food for me, for example, like farmers and so many people involved in all the process. And also for that farmer, that person also needed numerous support from numerous people to survive. So actually, my awakening is not like against them. I mean, not like leaving the world behind and then let me focus on my practice so I can get enlightened, things like that. So it's not in that way. Of course, we need to secure time to practice, but my mindset should never be like cutting from people. It should be always appreciating their presence in my life and their effort. And yeah, that kind of changes my mind a lot. So I just want to share this. And yeah, if you can give me like other advice based on what I said, that would be also appreciated. And also thank you so much for your bright presence. Today I was a little unwell, so uh, I was like, oh, but like just seeing you, yeah, really brightens me. So yeah, that gives me a lot of inspiration that like, wow, practice can, it's the effect of the practice. So I have like more uh now like more trust and faith in that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jian. I think what you have just said, you said it all. You are on this awakening path. And you remind me of a podcast I heard recently. John Kabat-Zinn, the founder of MBSR, was sharing his journey. And in that journey, he said, once upon a time, when he was asked about his meditation practice, he would talk about how he would every day dedicate 30 minutes to an hour on sitting, and that would be what he said as his practice. But now it's different. He wouldn't be referring to that at all, even though he would still make time for that practice, but rather he will talk about what happens in this everyday interaction. So as long as we are mindful in our everyday interaction with even the ants that we see on our path, with the clouds that float by, if we are mindful with everything that we put into our mouth, and with every click, especially with AI, I want to remind everyone that every prompt in generative that you put into generative AI uses a lot of clean water and precious minerals. So please use it with care. Every prompt, and every intentional and unintentional prompt as well. So if we become more mindful, mindfulness doesn't mean that then we don't prompt. Then we abstain from the world. That's not what a bodhisattva does. A bodhisattva continues to engage with the world, but they engage without being attached to any forms. Some things we will be talking about through this next few weeks, but that's what's important, so that we can be more carefree in our lives. So I have a little metaphor of a boat. I see myself as a boat with a lot of anchors onto the ocean floor. And with my practice, I will slowly remove an anchor at a time, loosen the grip, so that I have more degrees of freedom. And when the waves move, I can move a little bit more. And eventually, I hope I'll be liberated. So it only comes when I can interact, when we co-awaken together.
Thank you, Venerable. Can I pursue that energy a little bit more? And the reason is because thank you, June. That this idea of co-awakening is kind of new. I mean, in a sense, we're all working together. I mean, when you were thinking, you're saying suffering together. Together suffer, together awaken. I was like, I prefer the awaken thing. I'll choose that one. But so there are two questions that arises from thinking about what you just said. The first is, what do you think of people who spend like a lot of time in the cave or on extended retreats, 3 years, 5 years, 10, 20 years? And then the other question has to do on the other side, which is the analogy of the boat, right, that you just gave, the boat with anchors. And so you are removing anchors. But in this analogy, you were doing it yourself on your own boat. And I'm trying to understand how that leads to co-awakening.
Sure. Thank you, Meng. Meng is renowned because he has such a high IQ for asking very difficult questions. But I also do not need to answer all of them.
That's right.
It's part, but that's why it's core, right? We have to co-develop an answer.
That's right. That's right.
You know that people are social beings. I mean, we are programmed to be social, and that's why the core. Of course, this core. Okay, for those of you who don't know, I'm an academic, and as an academic, I always want to bring new things. And to me, every teaching is also my journey of exploration and co-creation. And I love co-creating with students. So, okay, so people in caves, at some point, they will need to leave the cave and teach, right? So when maybe.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what do you get awakened for? So as bodhisattvas, our career is to awaken for the benefit of being. So therefore, the teaching is important. And even if we don't teach, at least we show. Now we don't teach by the usual method of lecturing. I mean, this is amazing that we got over 40 people in the Zoom room together. You know, it's not normal these days. And and your captive audience for an hour. I mean, who would have imagined, right? With a world of short attention spans, everybody is still here on the 50th minute. But back to people in caves. To us as bodhisattvas, we come out of our cave. It's not that we don't go into our cave. I think I go into my cave, at least at night. For 8 hours, I tell everybody, don't disturb me, I need to sleep. So that I can wake up the next day.
Yes, awakening, yes.
That's right. But at some point, we have to awaken for people or for others. And even if it's not for people, we still need someone to feed us. We still need something, right? We still need air. We need existence. So for us to exist, I think we are dependent, right? It's interbeing, it's interdependence. Now this boat, so there's the same thing. This boat that I'm trying to, remove the anchors, I don't think I can do it alone. I need a lot of people on this boat to do it together. And perhaps, who knows, I need other boats. I was once in, I'm sorry about my stories, another story, but my last story.
We love your stories.
When I went to Fo-Guang-Shan, okay, I like Ming, I was from Singapore, small country. I lived in a very small flat. So it's like a little apartment. When I went to Fo-Guang-Shan and joined the Buddhist college, I was asked to, we all have duties. So my duty was to wash these, I think they were mushrooms, but I would think, how I wash mushrooms? They gave me a big sack of mushrooms, and then they asked me to wash. So I pick up all these mushrooms, put into a little sieve, and I put it under running water, and I wash like I would do at home for my mother. I'm not the one cooking. And then the senior walked by and say, if you wash like that, you'll never finish washing, because this is not the only sack. There are more sacks because we've got to feed thousands of people. And I look at the sacks and I'm like, then how do I wash? So
you're going to get sacked. Okay.
I'm going to get sacked instead. So how do you wash? You put water through the big sack and you shake that sack so that the mushrooms rub against other mushrooms and they get clean that way.
Right. Yes.
So that's why you need Mahayana. We get rid of our defilements by rubbing against others.
Right. That's fascinating.
So that was my awakening.
Thank you. Yeah, as you were talking, the two images that came to mind. One was exactly that. Like when you have like stuff you need to polish, what you do is put them together in the tumbler and they rub against each other and they polish each other. And the other is the idea that if we're all in our own boats trying to pull sometimes we can't do it, but if we come together to one boat and help this person, and then we go to the next one and help the other person, we can all get out of this.
That's right. And you can't shake too hard because otherwise the mushrooms all break.
That's
so
true.
it has to be the middle part, the right amount of effort.
That is true. Awesome. We have a question from Brad. Brad, please unmute yourself.
It doesn't have to be a question, a comment would be good.
Yes, all comment. Yes.
You can hear me? Thank you. So it seems within the 8 realizations, there are echoes of the Eightfold Path. And I wonder if you could talk about how those play against each other.
What do you mean by against each other?
How do they compare?
Oh, as in comparing them with the Eightfold Path?
Yeah.
The Eightfold Path begins with right view, right? So the first thing we're going to focus on in our journey together over the next few weeks is getting that right view. And then measuring that up with the right effort that we can put together in terms of our practice. There is then the right view really matches with the wisdom that we will acquire at the end of it all. I'll try to do a bit more matching within the contents of each of the sessions. So thank you for the question. That will be my homework.
Okay, good. Please feel free to assign homework to Venerable because she's academic, she's professor. She gives everybody homeworks. It's time for revenge.
Thank you, Ming.
Thank you, Brad. Okay, we have Cecile and then George, and then George will have to be the last question. Okay, Cecile, please unmute yourself.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Just a comment on the practice of being alone and being together. I think the image of the Bodhisattva represents both action and contemplation. You see Avalokiteshvara sitting, one
Mm,
foot representing contemplation, and then
mhm,
the other one foot down, meaning being active in the world, because both have to go together. We are
mhm,
not giving up one for the other, but both are necessary because the acquisition of wisdom or the realization of insights and wisdom would require aloneness and contemplation. And we cannot have purposive action unless it is guided by wisdom. So we do practice sitting alone, and these are the people in the caves, by the way. And what do they contribute to the world? Well, yes, when they reach the heights of purity, they embrace the whole world. They
mm,
embrace the whole world, and their prayers suffuse the world with freshness and with insights. In other words, they are like the air fresheners, that are sprayed over dirty atmosphere. And it's not that they are not part of the world. They are, in fact, embracing the world. And through their sacrifice and prayer, that's their offering for the redemption of the world. Now, active contemplation, which is our Mahayana, is really helping
mm,
others. And this is where Venerable Juewei's concept comes in about awakening together and serving together. Both are very important. The practice of being alone, and that's part of every spiritual discipline. And at the same time, the highest expression of compassion is service.
mm,
So I'm just saying that one is not better than the other, but both are required in the practice. Thank you.
mm. Thank you.
Thank you. Good insight.
Good. Okay, and then George, you have the last question or comment.
Yes, I love your analogy on the mushroom. Yeah. Mushrooms rubbing together to
Mm,
get cleaned. I really like it. Um, I try to be nice to people. Sometimes it happens automatically. But there are also people that I don't really want to interact with. I don't try to avoid them, but if it can be helped, I'm not gonna go out of my way to be with them. Is that okay? I mean, because if I try to go out of my way just to be with them, but I don't really feel good about it, seems to be hypocritical, something like that.
I don't know. It depends on the conditions. So it's that boat, right? How far can you go? We just have to test the limits.
Okay.
mm, mm, mm. Thank you. Okay, Venerable Juewei. So before we go, I just want to talk about your use of the word co. I really like it.
Mm.
Co-enlightenment, yeah. Which makes me think, right? What is the most Mahayana of all vegetables? The coconut. Sorry, that was a stupid joke. It was too easy. I had to take a shot.
Yes, so Ming.
Right. That's right. So, Venerable, you have an announcement for us before we go,
Yes,
right?
I do have some in the last, oh dear, it's already 12 o'clock. Can I just take another 2, 3 minutes and
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
make a few announcements and then we'll check out? Is that
Okay.
okay?
Yeah.
All right, thank you all. Just bear with me for another 3 minutes or so. I'm going to share my PowerPoint again. Share. Okay, right. You're not going to be looking at this. Instead, I'd just like to share that in about three 4 days. Okay, on the January the 14th, we have an NTI conversation series. If you are interested in nutrition science, we have our teacher who will be talking about nutritional advice, how we can go from information overload to inner knowledge. So if you are interested, please scan that QR code and you will be able to join through Eventbrite to learn more about nutritional advice.
For those who miss the QR codes, don't worry. We'll be sending it out in email as well. So don't feel that you have to suffer. Yes.
Yes, thank you for reducing our suffering. It really takes teamwork.
We're co-serving.
Yes, that's right. And so also on the 1st of February, please save the date for a very special Sunday check-in session on a Sunday at the same time that we start this Vibe with Venerables on a Sunday with Hugh Mackay, who will be speaking about communities of kindness. He's a very well-known Australian author and social researcher. Then also for those of you who are contemplating, wanting to further your studies in Buddhism, we do have competitive scholarships available in the study of Applied Buddhist Studies and Humanistic Buddhism with a closing date of early March. So please feel free again to contact us. And I would just like to close with a little prayer for the people who listen to the Dharma as a checkout. So if you'll join me, a prayer for the people who listen to the Dharma by Venerable Master Xing Yun. O great compassionate Buddha, please guide us in understanding cause and effect and karmic retribution. Please guide us in exalting loving kindness, compassion, and equanimity. Please guide us in respectfully upholding the 5 precepts and the 10 wholesome conducts. Please guide us in carrying out the 6 paramitas. We hope to transfer the merits of listening to the Buddha's teachings to all beings in the Dharma realms. May we all seek and realize supreme enlightenment. O great compassionate Buddha, please accept our sincerest prayer. O great compassionate Buddha, please accept our sincerest prayer. And may all beings in this be able to start the new year in all auspiciousness, safety, and good health. Thank you everyone for being here. I shall now share and hand over.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you, Venerable. My friends, please all bow to our teacher. Thank you, dear Venerable. Friends, this recording will be uploaded onto the Buddhism-dot-net YouTube channel, so please like and subscribe. If you are inspired to practice dana or generosity towards Venerable Juewei, please donate directly to the Nan Tien Institute. The link will be available by chat and by email. And next week, Venerable Juewei will continue teaching us, and she will talk to us about the first realization of a great being. Don't miss it. Thank you.